Welcome to our digital debrief on designing meaningful, interactive, and compelling content. Today's hosts from the JDC Events team are Kara Dao, Senior Director of Client Engagement and Operations, Rebecca Croft, Senior Meeting and Event Strategist, and Shafer Busch, Event Strategist. Kara, over to you.
When I think about compelling content, I think about what piques my interest in attending a digital event. The first thing that comes to mind is understanding your audience and what they're hoping to achieve, learn, and experience from attending. We need to tailor and curate the content to answer the questions and solve the challenges of the audience. We are creating learning environments that are designed to the people attending. And this learning environment should excite and motivate our participants by providing can't-miss information delivered by excellent speakers. So don't forget to source dynamic and entertaining speakers who have experience engaging people on computer screens, not just in person. And because I love sushi, I'm going to use a sushi convention as an example. Sushi chefs and restaurateurs attending my event want to understand how to source the freshest fish in the most expeditious and affordable manner. I'm going to source 2 presenters for a session on sushi supply chain development. The speaker will have an engaging personality and understand how to pivot their camera while presenting. This presenter will explain the key ingredients to successful sourcing of sushi, and they'll explain how the sushi products are sourced. Alongside the speaker, the sushi chef will be demonstrating the latest techniques in creating quick and delicious sushi. Not only is that compelling content to learn about the sushi sourcing, but it's also exciting to watch.
I totally agree, Kara. In another life, I worked in sales, and there was nothing I look forward to more than our kickoff meeting at the beginning of the year. Not only did it get me pumped up to learn new products, but it was just so much fun. And we can definitely do that in a digital meeting. You can have compelling, keynote speakers that just really kick your meeting off. You can introduce your new product launches through, engaging videos, and you can do your breakout sessions. And it's just exciting. I think you can do it just as well through digital as you can in person.
I completely agree, Rebecca. And I also love Kara's example because I'm a huge sushi fan and now I'm hungry. But I think to reinforce how you structure a digital event is really critical to its success. So 3 of my personal favorite tips when I'm designing are: 1, limit your session length, and please build in breaks in between sessions. It allows participants to step back and take a breather and return just refreshed and ready to participate. 2nd, encourage your speakers to keep their keynotes and presentations succinct and incorporate tools such as polling for audience engagement. That way it's a bit more interactive. And finally, be mindful of the overall screen time. You'll hear a lot today about how much time we're spending in front of screens. And I think quality content over quantity is really important. On-demand content is an excellent option as it allows participants to watch at their leisure.
That is so true, Shafer, especially now as we're all experiencing fatigue and ever decreasing attention spans. Mm-hmm. There are too many distractions that pull our attention away from our screens. In fact, note the amount of screens that you're seeing right now on this person's screen, and imagine the attention span that this person would have with so much visual and auditory input. Therefore, to ensure that you have engagement, you must decide how you're delivering it. This step is very important in keeping your audience tuned in and not logging off. And there's several ways to accomplish this. First, vary your format, such as opening your program with a music or skit. Take a break from networking in between sessions, but give people a takeaway, like maybe offer a yoga session, something that they can do to relax, or they could come back to on demand at any time. You could also make large group sessions into 3-point bullet sessions so that audiences have takeaways that are easily memorable. there's really just so many ways to change things up. What do you
Yes.
think, Rebecca?
Well, I agree. And one of the options that I think that people need to do is make small group sessions and make them interactive. Allow them to have their mics on so they can chitty chat with each other, and limit those groups to really small groups, like maybe 5 people or more. And also, as Shafer said, build in those breaks. And the breaks can still be fun, just and sponsored like they were in person, with, snacks, or just lunch breaks that can still be also, maybe you could send food in advance or something fun to the attendee so that they can enjoy that on screen with their other people that they're networking with, possibly. And you could also, at lunch, you could do something, for example, like hire a top chef to do a demo, which would be fun for people to watch. Or you could do a networking reception and send wine in advance, and people could still be out there having, fun on screen as well. But there's just lots of opportunities for the networking and sponsorship for these breaks and things.
I love that all of our examples today are focused on food. It makes me really happy. But I think that's such a great way to engage and really try to bring people together for a shared experience when you're still behind your computer screen. So another way I like to craft compelling content is through the use of diversified media. For example, Kara mentioned interspersing music. You could also consider short video clips that you can pull down from YouTube or Vimeo, or podcast excerpts, and intersperse them throughout your content to help keep the audience engaged. Creative AV production is another tactic. With a live event, we focus a lot on AV design, which can include stage sets and lighting and audio. But with a digital event, these elements are also a key part of speaker onboarding, for example. When you're working with your keynotes or your panels, you'll want to take the time to meet with them ahead of the event, whether it's to pre-record. Look at their lighting, look at their background, check out the space where they're recording, make sure there's nothing, funny in the background, like a bathrobe hanging on the door. So that's also critical with a digital event. And another area where AV comes into play, we're talking about set design. Well, consider how that translates on screen for a digital event. So for example, if you're planning a networking reception, something social, what do you want the aesthetics of that to look like on your screen? You could design something that's set to appear as a hotel ballroom, a really, beautiful elevated space. Perhaps it's a convention center that's appropriate for more of a trade show scenario. Or it could be something really unique, like set atop a mountaintop or something that's scenic. So it's different than a stage design, but the visuals also help create an important ambiance for your event online, as well as set the tone of what you're trying to achieve.
I totally agree, Shafer.
Yeah, same. And Shafer, the thing is you're talking about things that we need to think about in terms of concept design and how the content looks going into the event. So I would say to that equal is, don't forget about synchronous versus asynchronous learning models. And these are really important because they're pre and post digital activities, along with the set design considerations that you had in play. For example, these can be pre-recorded sessions that you might send out in advance and pump up the audience, tell them all the reasons why they're going to want to attend. And of course, that is a marketing material, but it's also telling them how to use the digital events platform that they'll be participating on. Because remember, from their perspective, they're coming in and they're experiencing this digital event. They don't know what it is they're going to experience. So why not make them really excited about that and tell them ahead of time what it is that they're going to be doing?
Definitely.
But but in addition to that, you're able to also send them materials. So then they can get a head start on their learning. For example, maybe there's some brainstorming materials, some surveys, information that they can pull together and also be contributing to content during the event. More importantly, they've checked off some boxes before even attending. And of course, this takes us back to what we've said over and over again, reduce that screen time and get their attention. So the more you can do in advance to help keep them engaged while they're inside the digital event, the more you can do in advance, the better.
And finally, end with inspiration. This is very important. You can do this in several ways. You could have an empowering speaker. You could just have a quote from somebody that, would inspire you, like maybe your CEO or a top person from your industry. Or you could do it with music and a quote written, or a video. And you just really want to wrap up your digital event and just into a nice little tidy bow with, your message at the end, and make it inspirational. And again, as we said, vary your meeting format. You can use polling in various sections of the meeting, in the beginning, the middle, the end, or, and create networking opportunities, because really the reason people are coming to a meeting is to learn things and to network with people.
Rebecca, that's totally true. I think just to do a quick recap on the compelling content, listen to your audience. I think that's what we're really saying, is we should take direction from our attendees and take their opinions into account. We want to design an event that they feel excited about heading into it, and then that they're ready to really engage via a variety of content and different means of interaction. And networking is a key piece of that. Making it an original and immersive experience. And I know we now have a video clip from a prominent content provider, Janet Nodar. She's a longtime content curator and a senior editor with the Journal of Commerce at IHS Markit. Enjoy.
I like to mix up conference presentations, not have too many just people reading from or presenting with PowerPoints, but rather have subject matter experts that can give us a good depth of knowledge about some particular subject, like oil and gas futures or whatever it might be. And then also have lively discussions and one-on-one discussions with people who are experts in a particular field. I spend a lot of time preparing people to participate in our events. I will always hold a conference call, sometimes two, beforehand, to do kind of a rough run through of whatever it is that we're going to do. But I also spend a lot of time thinking about what the questions should be that they're asked, making sure that they're comfortable, that they know what's coming. I don't like to have speakers surprised. I like them to be able to think about what they're going to do and say when they're on the stage. So we do a lot of beforehand preparation. One question that has to be thought about is, how important is this topic? How important is this approach to this topic? I want to be sure that we are on top of the relevant issues when we're talking about different kinds of logistics or different aspects of what people are dealing with. When you're managing a lot of speakers, that means you're managing a lot of personalities. You don't always know exactly how a person is going to be on stage. They may be different than they are when you talk with them, or even during a conference call with a group. So you have to be able to work on the fly. You have to know what you're going to do if something goes wrong, or how you're going to redirect conversation, how you're going to redirect someone who maybe takes up too much time or more than they should, or veers off track. So those are things you have to think about if you're doing live presentations and you're dealing with, again, strong personalities, very knowledgeable people, but they have to be all directed in a way that they create something valuable for your audience.
Next, we'll frame our discussion around the interactive portion of your event. The next couple of slides reflect examples of interactive elements you can deploy in your online event. Rebecca, what does it mean when we say interactive?
So really the definition of interactive is the act of influencing or influencing each other. And isn't that the reason that we, have an event, is to influence each other, to get information. So we're trying to give information in some manner to our audience. So why not do it in a very interactive, interesting way? And there's several ways to do this. As we said before, varying your meeting format, creating a meeting app is another way. And meeting apps, you know, those are great even if you're not at a meeting in person, because, you know, you can put, again, content on there pre-meeting, you can use it during the meeting, and you can have information on there post-meeting. So it's a really good thing to continue to create. And then again, networking opportunities, whether those are through an app or through a separate room where people can pop over and meet with somebody, or the networking that you can use, you know, created on the app as well.
Absolutely. One of my favorites, you'll see it on the slide here, is virtual swag. So that's a really great way of getting attendees excited heading into the event. So at a live event, we'd often arrive on site, head to registration, and then maybe you get a goodie bag that's filled with, you know, pens or lanyards, a pad of paper, some of which is fun and useful. Other stuff I tend to kind of throw in a drawer when I get home and don't look at it again. But when it comes to a virtual event, you can replicate that idea of still gifting someone something in advance. So instead, it could arrive via email. There's an image on the slide here that has a little bag with presents popping out. And so instead, a participant could click on that. It would open up on screen, and perhaps inside, exhibitors and sponsors could contribute gift cards. Maybe it's coupons that are then redeemable during the event. I really like the idea of redeeming, because then it drives traffic during your event to visit and engage with the sponsors and exhibitors, especially if it's an event like that has a large trade show component. And it helps sponsors and exhibitors too with their ROI. So they're seeing, okay, I'm really getting a lot of traffic. I'm getting the time in a booth to spend with participants. So virtual swag's really fun, and it can be customizable too.
Yeah, build in that ROI, Shafer.
Always, always. In addition to virtual swag, we have gamification. So over the last few months, gamification is one of those new event buzzwords. We hear it referenced all the time, but what is it? You know, at the heart of gamification, I think it's really about attendee engagement and interaction. So I have an example that I like to share. One of my favorite styles of games are, you know, scavenger hunts or passport games. And so those, again, it goes back to that attendee engagement. So as a participant, if it's a passport game, for example, you would go and you could visit and network with sponsors and exhibitors. Maybe you get like a little stamp on your virtual passport, which adds into points, and then that results in your position on a live leaderboard. So on the slide here, you'll see an example of what a leaderboard might look like. It really plays into that competitive spirit of the attendees, which I think is fun. And I mean, everyone likes to win. And at the end of the event, there can be a prize for the top contenders. You know, it's encouraging folks to attend sessions, to network. Same with a scavenger hunt. Maybe something's hidden in a session. You have to find that object or that word, and you'd earn points. Then you'd show up on the leaderboard. So they're just kind of fun, unique ways of engaging with your attendees, and it allows them to participate again at their leisure, which is really nice. It's not scheduled in time. So in addition to these examples, we now have a short video clip from Dharmesh Dayabhai. He's the co-founder of Streampoint Solutions, and he's going to talk briefly about how to make digital experiences more engaging. Here's Dharmesh.
I'll share with you my top 3 ways. Number 1, gamification. Don't do puzzles. They're boring. It's overrated. What you do want to do is create an experience that's going to move the person from one area to the other. The whole entire goal of this is to make sure it's engaging with the exhibitors and also with other participants through the conference as well. This can be done through notification pop-ups. It could be done through some sort of games. Maybe the game leaders could be where if you visit X number of booths, you get so many points, for example. Or if you watch so many CE credited videos, you get so many points. So try and look at it from that point of view of tying in how do you get more engagement with different actionable items. They have to be actionable, they have to be relatable. If they're not, don't do it. Nobody wants to hang around looking at puzzles or doing what it is. It's not, it's a waste of time. What you do want to do is seeing how you can create more engageable, actionable items. And that's, well, experiences, let's take it that way. And that makes it a lot more better. The second way to do it is also changing up the environment. One of the things that you can do is, if you look at my thing, I got my no meal right over here. So that's a little personality of like, what's that got to do with Dharmesh? Or even the background, it's a little bit more personalized. It's a little bit of me. And it kind of makes it a more interesting environment. Don't do virtual backgrounds. I mean, that's not what it is. So look at how you can change the environment. It doesn't have to be a sit down spot. It could be a vlog style as well, where you pick up the camera, you walk around, make it spontaneous, bump into people. It makes it a lot more fun, and it's actually a lot of fun to watch. So definitely change the environment, change how you're doing it, add some more movement to that, and it will net some great results. The third thing you want to do is also how you can make it more interactive. So when we're in a session, the typical scenario is there's a Q&A, there's a chat. I get asked that a lot. Do you have chat? Do you have Q&A? Yes, we do. Change that up a little bit. Get people to ask the question, bring them on the screen. It makes it so much better. It makes it more interactive, makes it part of the process, gets the person to be more involved, and it makes it more exciting as well. So who doesn't like talking about themselves? I mean, I don't, but that's a nice way to do so. So those are my top 3 points on how to make it more exciting, more engaging, and also making the content a little bit more different. I personally believe that's a success to any type of content. If you look at vlogs out there, if you look at content that's really successful, it's tying in the audience with the content. If you don't do that, it's just one direction, and well, that's that. I don't want to say anything more about that.
Now let's talk about how you can create meaningful content that will resonate with your audience. If you create content that your audience is desiring, then you've already met half the battle, because content is key. But how you deliver that content is very important. We've already discussed varying your format to keep your audience engaged, but also think about how you want to deliver it. What formats will deliver the meaning and make it stick in the minds of all your participants? How about roundtable discussions? What if you grabbed a bunch of people, brought them together into a room, and put them out into their different tables, had them discuss different varying topics, brought them back together again, and then discussed what they learned during their sessions around the roundtables? Or you can set those roundtables up in advance, and they're all by micro-topical discussions. What about poster sessions, where you're inviting people to come and speak with the presenter? Again, micro-topic sessions that are clear, concise, and to the point of what the learner is wanting to experience. And then, of course, there's workshops, where there's actually a lab where people are gathering together to solve a challenge. They'll come into the room, everybody will get charged with the challenge, they'll break off into subgroups, answer the challenge, come back together, and share what their answers are to that challenge. So do you have any examples of anything you've experienced, Rebecca, in this area?
Yeah, last year I did a meeting with a group that wanted to do team building and bring people from across the country in different departments. And so what they did was they hired a group of facilitators, and they did these workshops and breakout sessions, and the facilitators were able to run those sessions, and that would really translate well here in a digital format. And then also, you could also hire a master of ceremonies, which would be great even if you weren't doing workshops, or you were, but a master of ceremonies is key in running your whole digital meeting so that you can keep people short timing, with the speakers, and just help produce the event and keep it running well. So I do think that facilitators and masters of ceremonies are both great additions to a digital format.
Absolutely, Rebecca. I love that you touched on timing again. I know it's come up a bunch today, but it is worth mentioning again. No one wants to sit on an 8-hour event 3 days in a row. It's just too much. It's exhausting. We all need breaks. So keeping those presentations concise and really crafting the content to hit the high notes is important. You know, consider if you're downsizing a live event to a digital event, maybe there are other times throughout the year that you could spread out the rest of that content and still touch on it later, but then keep your event you're designing now to a day or a half day, whatever seems to fit best. So timing. Kara, over to you for a quick recap.
Well, thank you, Shafer, and thanks, Rebecca. In summary, if you begin with meaningful, compelling content and you deliver it in an interesting and engaging way, you're going to have a satisfied audience. And we did use examples of this during today's webinar. We had slides in the format of panel discussion. We interspersed video clips from guest speakers, and we sprinkled in polls. And now we're about to take your live questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kara, we do have some questions. Kara, could you give an example of the use of poster sessions in digital events?
Oh, yeah. So I started to talk about that earlier in the conversation. And the efficacy of poster boards in in-person events is having the opportunity to meet with that curator of that micro topic along with their poster. And, you know, in the past, that's been displayed on a physical poster board. And of recent, even in in-person events, that's gone into the digital realm where there's been video monitors up with the poster board on the video monitor. But I would say that when you take it into the digital world, you can achieve this in some ways even easier because you're actually meeting with the presenter during set times with their microtopic poster board on the same screen, and you're having a chance to really live chat one-to-one or within a group with that presenter and ask them key questions about the poster that's on the screen. You're also hearing the questions from others who are in that group. And it's not a long time commitment, but it's a lot of really good information in a short, concise time period.
That's great, thanks. And Rebecca, do you know how the best way to source a great keynote speaker?
Well, first I would look in a speaker bureau and see who are the top people in your industry. And then I would look up those people online and watch their videos on how they are speaking digitally, because a keynote speaker that was for a live audience may not translate as well digitally. So you really want to make sure that you pick a person that can translate, because as we know, it's very different being on a stage with hundreds of people in a room than it is in front of a computer screen in your home. So that's really what I would start with.
Great, thank you. And Shafer, since you like to talk about timing, how long should a digital meeting be if the regular meeting was 3 days?
Great question. I'm sure a lot of folks are grappling with that right now. You know, it's not one size fits all. There's no magic formula for that. I think it goes back to, you know, the purpose of today's conversation, compelling content. So taking a look at the amount of content, what you have planned for that live event, and then thinking through how much of it translates to digital. Perhaps, you know, you might need to adjust the format, or maybe like Rebecca said, there's a speaker that's just a little bit less comfortable. So those might be pieces or sessions that you decide to remove for your digital event, and that's okay. And again, I love timing. So trying to keep that content compact and quality over quantity.
Great, thanks. And speaking of timing, we are almost out of time. If you have any challenges, questions, just want to chat, please feel free to send us an email at kara@jdcevents.com. That's on your screen. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Stay safe and be well.